part 2. If you want it to make sense, please watch part 1. Thank you. Okay, so I had a friend, and this friend played a huge role in my acting experience. Let's call her Margaret. So Margaret was the same age as me. She was in her final year of school, like me, but we were at different schools. So we would not have met if we didn't have the same singing teacher. And she said, hey, you two have the same goal. You should really be friends. You could benefit from each other. And she was right. Yeah, and we started texting, but it never developed into a real friendship, I would say. But it was cute because we shared this mutual dream of moving to a bigger city and entering college there, theater college. So yeah, we were both working on ourselves, trying to improve as much as we can. So whenever I would show up for my singing lesson, she would be over with her singing lesson, and she would stop by and talk, and we would talk about how excited and terrified and nervous we are about entering college, and how it's a very hard task, but we're gonna get through it because we're strong and we're stronger together, and we promised that we would help each other out as much as we could, and it was our special little thing that we shared. Yeah, I was extremely nervous, but I would think time to time, so me and Margaret are entering for acting. What if one of us gets accepted and one of us fails? What would happen? And then I tried to forget those thoughts because it's just something I really didn't want to think about. But then I would think again, if I had the option, who would I want to succeed and who would I want to fail? If I had the option between me entering theater college and her entering theater college, who would I choose? And I don't know why, but I chose her over myself. It's true. I'm not being like, oh, look at me, I'm so, oh, I have such a kind heart, but it was true. I prioritized her needs over mine. Entering theater college is extremely hard. Like, you can't ever imagine how hard it would be unless you've actually experienced it. There are easily a couple hundred people per spot, per one place. What are the chances that you're the one? And you can never guess what the people judging you are looking for. Because sometimes it's up to the smallest details. For example, the color of your hair or your height. And it's like, it's not something that you can control, but it does determine your future. And it's like, it's very easy to give up. Because it's actually really hard to succeed. And again, you're never sure of what they want to see from you. Because sometimes the judges want you to be as less prepared as possible. Being like, oh, this is me and I may not be that good. I may not be this talented, but I'm willing to try. But other times, other judges are looking for someone who is actually prepared, who knows exactly what to do, who is very creatively developed and overall just extremely confident. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? And in this case, my teacher always told me that I should always be myself. And I know it sounds corny, but it's true. And this auditioning process was all throughout June. It's one of the saddest months in my life. My suicidal thoughts got the best of me. They kept on growing and growing till the point where I completely lost faith in myself, and so did my parents, and I gave up. I admit it, I gave up on my dreams that I worked so hard towards, but yeah, I gave up too soon, and probably if I kept on going, it could all have worked out, but I gave up because I had no strength to live, and because of that I had no strength to move on and fight for my dreams to come true. I failed. I did not enter theater college. And when I realized that, I woke up one morning and went to the bathroom, locked the door, and just sat there on the toilet seat and just stared. Then I got my phone and looked up an Instagram profile of a friend of mine. It's not Margaret, but he was also entering theater college. And there I see his picture, all smiling and all happy. He succeeded. He got accepted. And I was so happy for him. I was extremely happy. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you that part of me wished that I wasn't the only one who failed. Then I turned off my phone, sat there staring into the wall again, and just started crying. And it wasn't like regular crying. I had never ever cried like that, ever in my life. It was a different type of crying. It was the most intense version of sadness that I've ever experienced. That moment I had my first mental breakdown. And I didn't notice how it started, where it began, how my body felt, what I was doing, where I was sitting, the way my body was breathing. I did not notice anything. It felt like my mind shut down and sadness just overflowed. And I was screaming voicelessly, of course. I didn't want to draw any attention. I was screaming like this. Something like this. I'm trying to imitate it. Next thing you know, I'm on the plane, miserable, flying back home, thinking about how my family will accept me or not accept me. I felt abandoned by everything I know. I felt abandoned by everyone I know, including myself. Eventually I got home. I'm in my apartment, and everything seems so familiar, but yet so different. It felt that it would be impossible to continue on living the way I did before. I felt like a different person, and not in a good way. Then my mom forced me to try out for our local theater college, and I was extremely against it because it wasn't the level that I was aiming for. I worked too hard to still stay at this city and not grow any further. And I shouldn't settle for something as small as that. But my mom forced me. She didn't want me to have a gap year. She didn't want me to lose a year in my life. And I auditioned. The first audition went well, the second audition went well, and they seemed to really like me, and they seemed to really want to see me at their college. But it's like, I couldn't care less. There comes the day of the third, the very final audition, which determines whether or not you're accepted. And I don't show up. I run away to a nearby park. But my mom thinks that I'm auditioning. In reality, I'm sitting on the beach, writing in my journal and crying. because I always cry, if you haven't noticed. It was a conscious decision. I destroyed any possibility of me getting an education that year. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew how much shame I'm going to experience. I knew what a burden it would be to keep this a secret from my mom. Till this day, I haven't told her. But I knew I had to do it. And I did it. And at the time, I had a fake Instagram persona because I didn't want people to know that it was actually me watching their stories and viewing their posts. So yeah, but one day I see a post by Margaret, my friend, where she's all smiling and happy. And then I read the post and it says that she got accepted at some college and she's gonna major in acting. And it's like, why didn't you tell me? Why am I getting to know this from some social media app, from a fake account of mine? I thought we were friends. And the worst part is, at the same exact time when I was having my first ever mental breakdown, the one I was talking about earlier, at that same exact time period, I was texting with Margaret, and we were both talking about how we both failed. And she was talking about how it didn't work out for her either, and how it's going to be miserable for the both of us. We were basically bonding over that fact. Next thing I know, she got accepted. And I realized, when we were texting each other, she was auditioning secretly and told me nothing about it. She could have saved me. Just by telling, here's this random college that I found. Let's try it out. It could really work out for the both of us. It's our last chance. Let's do it together. But she told me nothing about it. She used it to her advantage. And I wouldn't have done that in her place. I would have told her. But next thing I know, all of our mutual friends post pictures of Margaret showing how proud they are of her achievements. But my existence was completely forgotten about. Which is weird, because Margaret and I, hand in hand, from class to class, we were always together, always growing together. Everything we did together. But now it's all about her. Maybe that's fair, but I felt like I never, ever existed. And neither do I now. Margaret and I never spoke ever since. So yeah, I felt betrayed, forgotten, abandoned, useless, completely useless. Long story short, I spent the entire next month, the month of July, in bed. Day after day I would wake up, slowly come to terms with what my life is now. I'll get extremely sad, I'll try to fall asleep again. Then I would struggle with that, I would wake up, eat something, go to bed, then I would wake up again. I would watch a movie to distract my brain from my existence. And I would fall asleep, eat, watch a movie, and on and on and on for the entire month. I never actually got out of bed. Theater. What can it do to a person? Stay tuned to find out. There's gonna be a part 3. Have a good day.